Hi everybody, I'm Jack Remling Rackintern. I hope that you're doing well. It's getting pretty hot here in Tucson, Arizona, so I thought it'd be the right time of day to do the summer BookBAE Tag, originally created by MJ at Reading This Life. I also saw it on Mark at Book Time with Elvis, his channel. So without further ado, let's get into these prompts. Now the first prompt is a very hot prompt. I don't know if it's actually hot enough here yet for this prompt, so we're going to jump to prompt 2, but we'll loop back as this day heats up. So prompt 2, random meetings. What fictional characters would you enjoy meeting at a backyard party or a cookout? Apologize for the traffic noises and all the cicadas, but I love backyard parties, I love cookouts. My wife loves these. We'd want a whole cast of characters here, right? So we'd have Dido of Carthage, either from the Aeneid, Virgil's Aeneid, or Christopher Marlowe's tragedy, his early tragedy. I think it would be cool to get Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man. I think, you know, he stays underground, but I think we could get him up for this party. I think it would be interesting to get Stavrogin from Dostoevsky's Demons. His conversation started there. We would invite Catty Compson. I don't know that she'd show up. We'd probably have Ateba from Calixta Biala's The Sun Had Looked Upon Me. I think she'd show up. We'd just have a great time. I love cooking. I love grilling, barbecuing, so we'd be all over that. Prompt 3, opposites attract. Name 2 characters from different books or genres you would love to see coupled or partnered up in a story. Now, I thought about making this like a battle royale and get a bunch of characters to just duke it out, you know, and fight, but that seemed a little ridiculous. So instead, I'm going to go with Henry Higgins and Eponine from Les Miserables. I think she would be an interesting sort of foil to what's going on in of course, the great Pygmalion from George Bernard Shaw. I think it would also be, or the My Fair Lady musical, I think it would also be interesting because she's somebody who wants to learn to read. Like, she kind of brags about it to Marius. So it would be interesting to see her character, you know, in that role and how that would create some subtle differences. I think it would be a little more of an adult version of My Fair Lady or Pygmalion. Perhaps a little more aggressive. You know, some of the tension and violence that's underneath that, I think, could come out in a really interesting way. But if, you know, if I wanted a more like romantic coupling, I'm thinking Rostam from the Shahnameh, the great Persian Book of Kings. Think of the best parts of the Iliad, the Odyssey, and like romances all thrown together into one massive epic from Ferdowsi in Persian literature. That's what the Shahnameh is. But Rostam with Hagar from Toni Morrison's Song of Solomon. That would be a fantastic, really interesting couple. Prompt 4, get outside. Do you enjoy reading outdoors? Absolutely not. It is way too hot here. I have blue eyes. The sunlight just seeps my eyes. It can be painful to read outside without sunglasses for me, and even like a hat. I'm under a shaded porch right now. When it's cooler, then you have, you know, and wet, you have mosquitoes, which is not fun. But there are times I read outside. Particularly later on this evening, I'll be grilling. We're going to grill up some dinner, and so I read outside when I grill, or if the girls are playing. So prompt 5, preference matters. What do you prefer for outdoor summertime reading? Physical books or an e-reader? I read physical books. Prompt 6, recommend a summertime read. Well, you couldn't go wrong with The Summer Book from Tove Jansson. I'll link my discussion of her book in the description notes. I'd also think, you know, some books that are really hot, books that just feel almost painfully hot. The Elementals by Michael Mcdowell, great horror novel set on the Gulf Coast. It's just part of McDowell's skill is that he weaves in how hot the characters feel, how uncomfortable it feels, what it feels like to try and eat half a sandwich or drink something cold when your body is just so warm from the heat. And using that, he then uses that as a window into what it feels like to be terrified, that you're seeing some elemental spirit, ghost, you know, horror occurring. It's very clever. 92 in the Shade by Thomas McGuane, that's another good one. And I'll add The Radiance of the King by Kamara Leigh. I'll link my description of that in the description notes as well. Prompt 7, what is your favorite summertime beverage? Water? Although when I was younger, we would go outside and, you know, just ride your bikes, play at the park, swim all day. Hose water, that was like a summer treat almost. You had to let the water come through the hose first, so you didn't get burnt. But after that, the cold water from the hose, it had that metallic taste. As a kid, it was great. Prompt 9, recommend a book set in a unique or exotic location. I feel like we should go to outer space to start. So maybe 2001: A Space Odyssey from Arthur C. Clarke. Perhaps The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin, and we end up on winter. But if we're staying locally, I'll go particularly locally. and go with the Zuni Pueblo and the incredible culture that Tony Hillerman describes and is able to weave into the great thriller in Dance Hall of the Dead. Prompt 10, have you ever asked a total stranger what they are reading, or given a book recommendation to a stranger in person? If yes, do you remember what it was? I do that. I'm not afraid to have conversations with people in public. I don't try to come on to people and be creepy, but I think it's nice to make connections. Now, I'll note that I generally look at what they're reading, and then if I feel like I've read it or I've heard something cool about it, that's when I like to have the discussion. I've met somebody once who was looking at reading A Sentimental Journey from Laurence Sterne. One of my all-time favorite books is Tristram Shandy. Struck up a conversation, and then he had this whole theory about land-grant universities. It's fantastic. Maybe ridiculous, but it was a really fascinating conversation. I once met someone at a used bookstore who was reading, or who was going to be purchasing The Dream Songs by John Berryman. Great conversation from that. And so I actually really enjoy making connections over books with people in public, just like I do here on BookTube. Prompt 11, recommend a new BookBAE booktuber, someone under 100 subscribers. Let's go with Quentin over at Idjit Reads and Rambles. He's got some fascinating interests in his reading. He's a great sense of humor, just a great person. So I'll recommend his channel. I'll link it in the description notes. Prompt 12, name 3 BookTube-baes to do this tag. Let's tag Fraser Simons. I'm always, liberating tags from his channel that I see him do. Let's tag Anne Novella. Great fun. And then I'll tag Channel of the Disappointed Man. I don't know if I've seen Jason do too many tags, but I think he cracked 100 subscribers. I think he passed his thesis defense. So maybe you could celebrate with a little summer BookBAE tag. So hope everybody's doing well. Oh, I forgot about prompt 1, and it has heated up a little bit here. Prompt 1, summer is a sexy time of year. Do you think reading is sexy? Share your thoughts. Well, considering my wife and I met each other and became friends in college because she was working at the front desk in the building I was a resident assistant in, and we just started talking about the books, and then gradually we were giving book recommendations to each other, and I foolishly recommended The Sound of Fury, and she maddeningly wanted to throw it across the desk at me a week later and wonder what on earth is going on, and there were 2 Quentins and all sorts of fun. Yeah, of course. Have a safe summer.